Hey, do you think you could knock out Moses Itauma? Correct?
Yeah, great.
Amazing to see how Moses goes against Dillian. I don't think they put him in against Dillian Whyte if they think there's real jeopardy for them. I think they might get a few rounds and get asked a few more questions.
You know, Dillian's not an idiot, isn't he? He fancies the fight. This is a big jump for him. He's done everything up to now that's been asked of him. But there's that question mark about what happens.
Dillian Whyte takes aim at Moses Itauma. But is it confidence or cracks showing? Dillian Whyte has come out swinging, mocking Moses Itauma's so-called basic style and downplaying his left hook. But fans aren't buying it. The backlash was immediate. Many see this not as veteran.
One punch and that, so I'm not just focusing on one punch. I'm focusing more on strategy and getting to the strategic position to learn what we're learning. It's southpaw, so you can't just walk up to him and learn left hook and then the same like you do on other people. So you have to set it up and timing and stuff. So yeah, it's been
in confidence, but as insecurity masquerading as bravado. Is Whyte genuinely unbothered? Or is this classic psychological warfare from a man staring down the barrel of his own replacement? Whyte doubles down with defiance, dismissing criticism as beneath him, but calling fans idiots.
Do what I believe, and I say, yeah, okay, cool, and just do whatever the fuck I want anyway. So yeah, I don't really, I try and focus on me and what I'm doing and what my kids and family is doing. I don't care about some idiots' attention land. Who
backfires. It doesn't silence the conversation, it fuels it. What was supposed to be dominance now smells of desperation. Confidence? Maybe. But to many, it's the sound of an ego cracking. And ignoring Moses isn't just arrogant, it's dangerous. Simon Jordan isn't fooled. He peels back the PR layer, exposing what insiders suspect this fight wasn't made to test Moses.
But it'll be fascinating to see how Moses goes against Dillian. I don't think they put him in against Dillian Whyte if they think there's real jeopardy for them. I think they might get a few rounds and get asked a few more questions than possibly they've been asked by Marius Wack and Dempsey McKean.
It was made to showcase him. Whyte isn't a risk, he's seen as a stepping stone. Translation: the promoters believe Dillian is beatable. That's not hype. That's a direct insult to Whyte's legacy. The message is clear. Moses Itauma isn't being thrown in the deep.
I'm talking about with somebody who doesn't fiddle around, somebody who actually would like to get him in the latter rounds and is capable of knocking people over. He's a puncher. You've seen him do it. And
he's being handed rounds. Frank Warren isn't screaming about it. He doesn't have to. The silence is the warning. Moses may be young, but he carries real power, and he's not here to play around. If Whyte thinks he's just dealing with a flashy 20-year-old prospect, he's in for a rude
good fight, actually, especially for Moses. I think it's a very good time to fight Dillian. He's had a couple of years out the ring. But, make no mistakes, Dillian Whyte is a massive puncher to head and body. I know he's taking it very serious. I'm speaking to Ty Mitchell, who's in training camp with him. And looking forward to the fight. It's a big step up for Moses because he hasn't really fought anybody on Dillian's level. The old Dillian, it was a couple of years ago. And it's going to be interesting.
Awakening. Even Tyson Fury can see what's coming. He's not hyping for the cameras, he's subtly acknowledging the shift. Whyte's been inactive. This isn't the Dillian of old. And the timing? Perfect for Moses. Insiders know this fight isn't just a challenge, it's a potential passing of the torch. Tyson's tone says it all. He doesn't just admire Moses, he's issuing a veiled warning. Don't underestimate this kid. He listens. He adapts. He learns. That kind of coachability is rare. That's what makes Moses dangerous. Not just now, but for the next decade. At just 20, Moses is already showing signs of elite-level maturity. And if someone like Fury, one of the greatest heavyweights of his era, is giving you props, you're not just another prospect, you're a problem. Dillian might think he's fighting a kid, but that kid has been soaking up elite-level sparring.
He's a very good fighter, good little boxer, good puncher, and a lovely kid as well. It's like a sponge. You tell him something, he absorbs it, and he listens. And that's the great thing about the young kids.
Tactics and mental preparation, and the tone in Tyson's voice, that's not just respect, that's warning. This isn't a charity fight, it's a hostile takeover, and the sport can feel it. Even Andrew McCart isn't mincing words. He just dropped the real reason this fight exists. It's not about rankings, it's not even about titles, it's about business. Dillian needed a payday, Moses needed a name. That's the unspoken deal. Whyte, once a pay-per-view headliner who went toe-to-toe with Joshua and Fury, is now the gatekeeper. A litmus test for a rising star. That says everything about where his career stands. This isn't a comeback for Whyte, it's a cash-out disguised as a challenge. And for Moses, it's a golden opportunity. If he demolishes Whyte, the doubters disappear. The heavyweight division gets the message. There's a new problem on the block, but there's a twist. If Whyte pulls it off, that would be a savage slap in the face to every promoter who wrote him off. Still, most insiders already know the truth.
I like the fight. The reason being is because Moses Itauma, we've been saying now, is that guy. He needs that test. He needs that step up. And I think Dillian Whyte is that guy. Dillian Whyte's probably found it hard now to get that big fight. He's probably said, I'll fight Moses Itauma if you give me X amount of money. And that.
The odds favor youth. The machine is backing Moses, and Dillian can feel it. Andrew McCart drops another truth bomb. Moses' chin hasn't been tested. That's the wild card. Dillian, for all his flaws, still has that old-school street brawler DNA. He doesn't just fight, he slugs. He drags you into the dirt and swings with real venom. His left hook? That's not hype. It's hospital grade. So what happens if Moses gets caught early? If he bleeds, wobbles? That's what makes this fight so compelling. It's not a showcase. It's a pressure test. Moses has passed everything so far with flying colors, but this isn't another tidy win. This is the real-world internship, with a brutal mentor. Fans want to see dominance, sure, but more than that, they want to see what happens when that dominance is challenged. When the lights are hot and the pressure is real. That's the story here. If Moses adapts and still comes out on top, all the questions are answered. But if he folds, the hype bubble bursts.
Got that dog in him as well. When he'll trade with you, Chisora fight, Parker fight, he's got a nasty left hook. And I think for us, as good as Moses Itauma is, that we believe he is, we need to see what it's like when he goes through that adversity, when he goes through that cut, when he goes through that chin check, when he goes through that knockdown. How does he react to all this?
Publicly. That's why this fight matters. There's no middle ground. This is a defining moment. Even Gareth A. Davies is tuned in, and what he's hearing from insiders is louder than ever. Moses is no longer just a rising name. He's a must-watch attraction. Everyone's talking about him. Trainers, promoters, pundits, the lot. The quiet truth? Dillian's only in this conversation because Moses brings heat, headlines, and eyeballs. This isn't about Dillian teaching a lesson. It's about Moses taking the spotlight. Promoters and pundits aren't wondering if Moses rises. They're waiting to see how loud the impact will be. This isn't a test. It's a coronation in disguise. And Dillian, whether he likes it or not, he's the final exam. Adi Oladipo adds one more layer. Dillian's best shot might lie in channeling his old-school chaos. Raw, unfiltered, unpredictable. But that's not a strategy.
Because Moses Itauma is fascinating. I spoke to Francis Warren ringside on Saturday night. You had a microphone as well. Were you allowed to put the pressure on them to speak?
That's a last resort. That's identity crisis territory. Because if your best hope is dragging a 20-year-old into a circus, you've already lost half the battle. This fight is no longer about technical skill. It's about trajectory. One man is climbing, the other is clinging, and the ring will reveal who's who. Dillian Whyte versus Moses Itauma. A fight beyond the ropes. This fight isn't just about fists. It's about mind games. And that's what makes it controversial. Has Dillian Whyte become so uncertain of his tools that he needs to win the battle before the first bell? Once upon a time, Whyte was feared. He brought chaos with him. Flying tables, boiling tempers, and raw menace. But that version of Dillian isn't who's stepping into the ring today. And Moses Itauma, he's no longer the wide-eyed kid watching those viral outbursts online. He's the product of that chaos. A 20-year-old destroyer, who saw the madness and trained to outgrow it. The tables have turned literally and figuratively. Dillian is the name from yesterday. Moses is the face of now. If Whyte's strategy starts out,
wasn't afraid of anyone, would put it on anyone, because Moses is still only 20. And I almost feel like if Dillian needs a path to victory, it might start from outside the ring first, and then we'll see. Because there would have been a time when Moses has grown up and he's
outside the ropes. He's already behind when the bell rings. He's clinging to the past while Moses builds the future. Adam Smith drives the tension further, asking the question on every purist's mind. Will Moses walk through Whyte like he has everyone else, or will he finally be made to earn it? Smith doesn't sugarcoat it. This isn't a mismatch. It's a moment of truth. Yes, Moses has been dominant. He's blitzed his opponents. But Dillian Whyte, even now, isn't a pushover. He's a veteran who's shared the ring with killers. And that's what gives this fight its fire. If Moses steamrolls Whyte, the hype becomes real. But if Dillian drags him into deep waters, tests his lungs, his chin, his patience, then we get the answers boxing purists are waiting for. And here's the twist. It's a trap for both men. If Moses doesn't dominate, critics will scream overhyped. If Dillian loses, it cements the narrative that his time is up. This fight is more than a physical clash. It's a battle for control of the story. Because whoever wins, owns the narrative. If Moses flattens Whyte, he becomes the guy, the future, the real threat. But if
very good Moses Itauma, so some people might say he'll get rid of Dillian Whyte like he has the others. Maybe not. Maybe Dillian's too much for him at this stage.
Whyte survives, or shocks the world, he resurrects his name and slams the brakes on a rising star. This is the kind of fight that flips careers overnight. Adam Smith hits a nerve fans can't ignore. Dillian Whyte, for all the questions about form and fitness, is still a warrior. He's fought the fights others avoided. He's bled for this sport. That legacy matters. And in this matchup, that legacy becomes dangerous. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's slower. But Whyte still only knows one way to fight forward. That makes him volatile. And if Moses underestimates that grit and ring IQ, he might walk into a nightmare. Here's the real controversy. The fight world is already talking about Whyte like he's a gatekeeper, a prop to boost Moses' stock. But that's a risky narrative. Because Dillian Whyte is the kind of fighter who takes joy in smashing hype trains. Still, if Moses rises to this moment, if he beats not just Dillian's body, but dismantles his legacy, he doesn't just win, he is...
Interesting fight. Intriguing because Dillian Whyte will take anyone on. He's a fighter through and through. He's given us so much entertainment over the years. Yes, he's at the back end, but it's one of those that it's the old guy with the experience and the know-how.
This isn't just a fight, it's a generational collision, a transfer of power, but only if Moses has the nerve to take it. On one side, Moses Itauma, undefeated, fearless and already commanding headlines at 20. On the other, Dillian Whyte, battle-tested, scarred, dangerous, a man who stood toe-to-toe with the best in the world. Beneath the surface, this is bigger than rankings or records. If Moses dominates, the division gets a new problem overnight. It sends a message the new era is here. But if Dillian, even just for one night, taps back into that nasty left hook, that brawler's grit, that street-born pressure, he could derail the hype and flip the heavyweight script. For Moses, this is his coronation. For Dillian, it's survival, legacy, and pride. This is Dillian Whyte's last stand, a chance to remind the world he's no stepping stone. Moses Itauma is young, hungry, and rising fast, but Whyte is cornered, and that makes him dangerous. So what happens when raw talent collides with desperate experience? Someone's getting hurt, and history's being written either way. Now it's over to you. Who are you backing? The prodigy aiming to claim the throne, or the veteran fighting like hell to keep it? Is this Moses' moment, or Dillian's redemption run? Drop your thoughts below.